This is One Voice Lenawee. Stay informed. COVID vaccinations and booster shots. How does this affect our children, finances, and the cost of living, race, and the fight for equity and equality? What will education look like in the future? What you should know about good health practices, employment, and job interviews in today's world. You need to know. Stay connected. One Voice Lenawee. Access to the information you've been looking for. Sponsored by United Way of Monroe and Lenawee counties. Now we present to you our host, D'Angelo Boone. Welcome to One Voice Lenawee. And today we have a great show for you. We have two wonderful guests that's going to be joining us in just a moment. We have Mike Hooks, who is going to be talking about his podcast and the various topics that he looked to address with his podcast. And we have the mayor of Adrian, Michigan, Mayor Angela Heath, with us as well. And we're looking to bring Mike Hooks onto the show with us in just a moment. Also, we want to keep you updated with some of our upcoming shows, upcoming guests that will be joining us on the show at later dates. We have Frank Nagel that's going to be joining us from ProMedica, talking about the $20 million project, the Adrian E-Bike Neighborhood Promise. You don't want to miss that show. Stay tuned. We'll have that information coming to you shortly, as well as the chairperson for the All About Adrian Resident Coalition. That's going to be joining us in later shows to talk about their partnerships with the ProMedica E-Bike Neighborhood Promise and the work that they're doing in the community. So you don't want to miss those shows. And if you have any thoughts for future shows, please hit that comment button, write those thoughts down. If you have not subscribed to our channel, take this moment right now to hit that subscribe button and subscribe to our channel. Thank you. And now let's welcome Mike Hooks to the show. Welcome to One Voice Lenawee. Welcome to One Voice Lenawee. And we are glad to have with us a new venture, a new artist of a different kind, coming in with his own podcast, his own form of communication and information. And we have Mike Hooks with us, joining us this evening as well. And the podcast that he has is called 5 Ps and We. But I would like to also welcome you to the show. Welcome you to the show.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad to have you with us today. 5 Ps and We. And Mike Hooks, would you walk us through this? Where did this idea come from, and what topics are you looking to cover?
Well, this topic, I guess we might want to say, deals with the preparatory tools of putting effort forth in order to change, what your past was, or do something different. In a sense, that promotes unity within your community, within your family, within the society. Yeah, I derived it from a phrase that was given to me back, years ago, maybe like 22 years ago. Individual laid it up on me. I never really took grasp of the meaning. I just started sounding slick, however, it came back and manifested itself. I want to say about 10 years ago, and the impact of what it meant to me, actually changed the way I saw, how to, actually become instrumental in not only my life, but in the lives of others, So, that's where I pretty much that, along with the reading of Think and Grow Rich, which is by Napoleon Hill and Dennis Kimbrough. Like I said, they constructed a lot of the same ideas based upon, the thinking, So pretty much I began to develop the content for, a podcast, and thought it would be ideal for, what's going on in, in our communities nowadays.
And with this podcast, what do you hope to accomplish?
Well, with this podcast, it is my intent to, stimulate the mental or the behaviors of individuals that they might emulate, a positive example of building to strengthen the pillars of our community. That's my ultimate goal. Hopefully to prepare individuals to continue to give back rather than being complacent in their stature. Whether it be monetary or just thought or resources. Period. A lot of times we become complacent with where we are in life, so we feel, well, that doesn't concern me. You know what I'm saying? Because I've got one that I've gotten. So you know what I'm saying. So what do I need to fit in at? They're doing all right as long as I'm okay. To get out of that selfish mindset and continue to unify and build.
That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing that a platform of this nature will exist that will bring this information and this dialogue to a community that may have some struggles and looking to advance themselves, both physically, mentally, psychologically. So it's good to have platforms of this nature exist that people can really tune into and listen to conversations and have information and be another resource for folks that are looking to really engage in a conversation style that will push them in a different area for their life and challenge them to think outside the box, challenge them to challenge themselves, really. And that's pretty amazing that you have this idea and that you're looking to pursue it and make this platform available to those within our communities. So I really commend you on your efforts and your pursuit to create this platform. I really commend you.
Again, I'm in the works of dealing with the Toledo Public Schools Superintendent, Mr. Rodney, Mr. Matt Durant, different organizations, how might I say, human resource managers, different personnel, and and not only the educational background, like teachers or whatnot, giving their take and expertise on how they prepare their students, how they prepare their employees, how they prepare their co-workers, to develop the mindset to accomplish a goal collectively.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. And again, I commend you for your efforts. I know that there is a pocket of community that's starving for something of this nature, something that they can tune into, something that will speak to their circumstance. So I'm really excited, and I definitely look forward to following you as you're developing this podcast, and definitely look forward to following some of the shows and even having you back on the show to talk about your podcast experience while the show is going on. I know that sometimes these new ventures, there's these hiccups, there's this learning curve. You're trying to figure these certain things out, and yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. And I know that the audience that this is going to really speak to, I know they're in anticipation of this podcast. Yeah. So you came up with this idea of this type of dialogue and conversation. Why? Why? Is there a background that this really speaks to you at a certain level? Is there something that took place in your growing and developing? Was there mentorship? Was there circumstances?
Yeah.
Why this? Why now?
To be a little transparent here, I will sit up and say that I, of coming into this awakening, so to speak, I reflected on my childhood youth as even as a youngster. I remember my stepfather. I incurred a lot of mental abuse from him, and with that abuse, I didn't understand until later on of how it had stagnated my growth. It caused me to be displaced, withdrawn. And later on, as I got older, I was making bad choices and bad decisions upon, not understanding why was this happening. I took on the name of being antisocial around my family, being having institutionalized thinking, based upon the different penal institutions that I had actually come from. And as I sit up here and internalize this, it was regurgitated back to me that, even in my issues, my experiences, other people have experienced the same, or if not similar things. And, trauma, no matter what form it takes, has the ability to affect individuals mentally to where, a knock back 10 feet takes 100 feet to recover, and whether, like I said, whether one is miseducated by the schools and the stuff that works on the mental, or miseducated through his parenting, what I mean, or dealing with issues that knocked him down, and gaining a better education because of his his heritage, or his lineage, so to speak. Or it's just different thing I make inclusive to people dealing with the culture. And you want to sit up, you ask, like, what is your target audience? I feel that the target audience should be the age of accountability, which is 13, all the way up. You know what I'm saying? Because no matter what you say, if John's son was murdered, or if John's son was affected like that, because I don't know John, but we stay in the same community, that still could be me, you know what I'm saying, or my son. So, to turn a shoulder and say, well, that has nothing to do with me, I think that's a how can I say, a falsehood, you know what I'm saying? Because remember, man, we are put here to sit up here and strengthen and build one another no matter what the situation. So that's where I come from. That's where I base, like, I had to get beyond that thinking to where, okay, well, I had to, okay, enough has been enough. I've used that trauma and allowed it to cater my whole life. I gave the title to my life, to this trauma, to dictate how I came up for so long. So it's now to take back my title. And by taking back my title, now what I'm doing is still, giving back, so I can sit up there and do a little preventative maintenance amongst those I, encounter on a daily basis.
I thank you for your transparency. Thank you for sharing that. I think sometimes we don't really consider the impact of relationships, and spoke to us in our youth, how that impacts us in our adulthood and in our decision making. And if there's any inspiration that can be pulled to create something positive, I mean, just being able to overcome those challenges, and to consider those that are still going through those things and still trying to make positive decisions, or trying to figure out how to navigate these different waters. Yeah, that's incredible, to be that mindful of a community that's still hurting and that's still trying to find ways to survive. And there's something that you said that I just want to quote back. A knockback of 10 feet takes 100 feet to recover. That's powerful. That is powerful. And it speaks really to the magnitude of what people are suffering in community. I think that sometimes we forget how traumatic one impact might be on someone's life, and how long it takes that person to recover from that impact. I think with the assumption is that that something can be said, and folks are just supposed to get over it and figure out how to move on, and they don't realize that the effect is really lingering and has some very incredible impacts when it comes to life decisions and life outcomes. So I think that's incredible that you would mention that, and that these are some of your motivators when it comes to this podcast and these conversations, and that you really have the heart of the community at hand, and this is your motivation for it, is that you remember, and that you know that there are others out there that's struggling with very similar things, and being able to bring these conversations up and to have these conversations and bring ones on to speak of this. That's psychological healing. That's healing for your heart, for your mind, for your body, and to know that someone is not the only one out there that has this struggle and trying to find ways to overcome these struggles. I think that's important to have those kind of platforms and outlets and resources available for people in our community.
Well, again, with this, the goal, man, and a lot of people take in the insight, or I don't need to, or I'm fine where I'm at. But again, it's all according to putting the small effort forward. You know what I'm saying? The small effort forward, and you will tell as you begin to do this, on a daily basis, it becomes automatic. You know what I'm saying? To where it's not even a thought anymore. It's just a routine. So if we can inspire that in individuals, especially that they might affect these younger generations that's going to become politicians, become lawyers, become lawmakers, become scientists, whatnot. So that's what I think they see the older generation, even the ones up under, they'll take home like, wow, I gained my inspiration from someone other than my father, other than my mother, other than my brother. Someone inspired me, what I mean, when I didn't have no hope, so to speak. So, again, when we sit up here and say we want to stimulate and build, like I said, we have to do it by actions, not to talk. The actions means more than words, So my thoughts is, man, it's just something that needs to take fire amongst every community across the United States, and even in these other countries, man. So yeah, I believe this is the avenue in which one could sit up there and gain a lot from.
Appreciate that. And this is
Yes,
Mike Hooks, the founder and creator of 5Ps and We, and encouraging everyone to check him out, join him, search him out on Facebook, Mike Hooks, and follow his page, follow the growth of this podcast, the growth of his show and his platform, and please support. I can't stress that enough. We want to show our new creators, our entrepreneurs, the support so that they can really dive into their endeavors and see the success, and the community as well benefit from their endeavors. So again, Mike Hooks, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being a part of One Voice Lenawee.
thank you.
Definitely looking forward to having you back again, and to see where things go and see how progress you have become, and how prosperous your show is as you're pushing it forward. So again, thank you for being on the show, and we are glad to have you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. It was all my pleasure, man. Till the next time, guys. Remember, proper preparation prevents poor performance.
We're always glad to have guests come on our show and share what they're doing in community. Mike Hooks, we thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to share your venture and the projects that you have going on. We're going to have a word from our sponsor. This show is sponsored by United Way of Monroe in Lenawee County. And we're going to have a message from our sponsors. And once we return, we'll be greeting you with Mayor Angela Heath of Adrian, Michigan. But right now, a word from our sponsor.
736 million people struggle to meet their basic needs. An estimated 40 million people have fallen victim to human trafficking. 51 million kids go hungry every day. And every day, United Way and our partners, including Kellogg, Wells Fargo, and UPS, fight for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in every community.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the show. And we don't want to hold you up. We want to get right to it. And let's bring on to right now with us our mayor. Let's bring on the mayor, Mayor Angela Heath of Adrian, Michigan. And welcome to One Voice Lenawee. And again, with us today, we have the mayor of Adrian, Michigan, Mayor Angie Sword Heath, here with us. Angie, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I was very honored to be asked to be on the show today.
No, we are glad to have you here and glad to be able to share this space and this platform with you. And I know that our audience has been looking forward to watching you on the show. And I know they've had some questions that have come up. So glad to be able to address those with you as well. And I know that your schedule is super busy. Congratulations to your second term as mayor in our city as well. And also to your new venture in employment. So we're glad just to have you here. And I know those things are keeping you quite busy. So, but thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And Mayor, would you mind just telling us a little bit about yourself? I know there are many of us out there that's really working to get to know you. So mind just sharing some tad bits about yourself?
Well, I was born and raised in Adrian, Michigan, and after I went to college, I found employment in other states for a little while. But as I started having my children, I really wanted to have them grow up in Adrian and get those great experiences that I really felt that I got. And so I moved back here when my children were getting into that grade school age, and so that they could all graduate from Adrian High School and be raised here as well. And so that's why I came back, and I just love this city. My heart's always been here. It was just really there was an opportunity that opened, and I ran because I really wanted to get back to Adrian and give my family that same experience. I'm a mother of 5 children. They're all grown now. 2 are still in college, but the rest are out and about. And 2 live in Adrian, but the rest live out of state right now. But so hopefully they always still speak very fondly of Adrian. So maybe they will come back eventually, but they started their jobs and it took them elsewhere. But I am also the executive director of Adrian Community Preschool, which is a free preschool for 3 to 5-year-olds that are mostly low income and at-risk children, to give them that jump start and to get them ready for when they enter the school system. So, and I do have a dog, which you can hear now walking across my floor, that decided to get up as I was on here. So sorry. But my husband and I are both lifelong residents. I mean, I didn't live here my entire time. I did move away for a little while, but my husband has been here his entire life as well. And we just care deeply and passionately about the city.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. So we get to get a small peek into the life of Mayor Angie Heath as well. So I appreciate that. And so you're the mayor now of the community that you were born and raised in. Was this a lifelong dream of yours to one day be mayor, commander-in-chief of the city?
I was always in leadership roles, even starting in high school, maybe even junior high, I can't remember, but I know in high school, I was like on the student senate, and I always put myself into those leadership roles wherever I could, and just really jumped in full go, and really wanted to try to do the best that I could do and make a difference, and just really loved all of those leadership roles, carried that on into college. Actually started a coalition for off-campus students, because I was one of them that needed to live off campus to afford to stay at college, because it was much cheaper to be off of campus in an apartment than it was in the dorms or in any other housing. And they didn't have a voice. And I recognized they didn't have a voice. And there were several of us that came together, and we started the off-campus coalition at our university. And as far as I know, it is still going strong. I know it still was a few years ago, but that taste of leadership and starting something up like that, I loved it. It was great. My first job out of college wasn't just as a teacher. The school hired me wanting a before and after school program, and they entrusted a 22-year-old to start from the scratch an before and after school latchkey program for their school. And that leader was just a leadership role that I really enjoyed, and it was a challenge, but it was worth the challenge. And I'm really glad I have that opportunity. I've just always really loved those leadership roles, but as I had children, I needed to focus my time and energy more on them. I did do some leadership roles within my children, like PTO president at Alexander Elementary, and some other leadership roles within like maybe their sports teams or whatever it might be. But I just really had to kind of put my own needs and wants on the back burner while I got my children raised. And my last daughter, my youngest, was getting ready to graduate high school. And that opportunity was there. And I said, I love this city. I care so much about this city. And I had been attending city commission meetings and just really wanted to get involved and basically put my money where my mouth was and actually like do the work, do that work for the city, not just say, oh, the city could be better at this and sit back and complain. No, I wanted to be there. And I also wanted to be that person that people could go to and voice their concerns and know that they were heard and that they were listened to and that those needs were passed on to the right people and that there was resolution. Not all resolutions always what that person maybe wanted, but at least they know that those pieces were put into play and that we did what we could. And so I just really I didn't know how people would react to me wanting to run for mayor. I did obviously talk to my husband, and get his blessing because, it is a time commitment, and my family, and everybody was very supportive and very excited. And so that was just so exciting when I won the election in 2019. And then I just really felt that COVID really stole a lot of that time away from my 2 years as mayor, because that 2 years goes by really fast. And I had only been mayor for 4 months when COVID and the pandemic came in. Excuse me. So I really couldn't do, a lot of these things that I wanted to do, these town hall meetings, these, conversation times with citizens and going out into different groups, and all of that stopped. And it stopped for a long time. And look, we're still in it to some degree, and some of those things are still not occurring and happening. And so I really wanted to run again. And there was so much that I, wanted to be an assistant of in helping and to accomplish in the city. There were so many exciting things just on the cusp of happening and are still right on the cusp of happening here. There's so much revitalization happening right now. There's just a lot of really great things happening here, and I really wanted to be involved in that.
I know that you are heavily involved in community outreach, community engagement, that you've attended the A3 All About Adrian Resident Coalition meetings, a lot of their events that you're kind of a beacon of light for our community. And I've personally witnessed you painting the benches at Dunlap Park, working over in Paris Park and in various other platforms throughout the community, working with the migrant workers in Lenawee County. And it's kind of everywhere your hands can kind of hit the plow, you're right there. And I think that's pretty awesome. Even when it comes to working with the Meal Assistance Program of Lenawee County, delivering food to the residents within our city, I think that's absolutely amazing. To know that you have this other large commitment when it comes to community and meetings, but you're still finding time to really engage the communities, to stay connected, and to be really intentional about that. So I think that's absolutely amazing. And I know that COVID is a very different beast when it comes to managing the city. And so my thoughts were coming into this position as mayor, and now we're hit with COVID into your first term, and now we're in your second term. How do you navigate that with trying to stay committed to or connected with the community, but taking safety measures when it comes to your own health and the health of the residents here?
Well, and that's one thing I know that people were really appreciative of at the beginning, that I had office hours at City Hall, so they knew when they could come in and connect with me. I am personally a person that really wants to have that one-on-one and that in-person meeting. It's just, things can be misread when it comes to emails, even over the phone. You don't have that body language. It's just very different. It's just a different kind of communication. And a lot of times there can be miscommunication when you're communicating in those other avenues. And I'm a really strong believer in those personal connections and meeting one-on-one. However, that being said, that was great. Obviously, I couldn't do that because of COVID. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I have to protect several employees at City Hall, and one is very close to my office that has an immune deficiency disorder. And there's several of them there, but one happens to be literally almost right outside of my office. So I have to be very careful right now and so that's one thing I have had to give up. I haven't returned to office hours even once we did open the doors back up. I will meet with groups still there, but I try to do it when I know, that person's not going to be there possibly,
Right.
or maybe just trying to accommodate around that. But, so to have those regular office hours would really impede on that person working. And I really need to be cognizant of that and just be sensitive to that. And so that's one of the concessions I've had to make along the way. So now that we're finally able to gather more in groups and even, if it's masked or not masked, at least now, that we don't have those restrictions. I was really wanting to begin back to what I had originally planned of doing, like a coffee hour with the mayor, calling it something like that. I never really had a good catchphrase for it, but like just a conversation, question and answer, and just having conversation with me. I did one. My very first one was in January of 2020. And I did it at the senior center, and it was amazing. They let me come in and they told people about it. And it was, a lot of seniors, obviously, but they asked, those tough questions. But, it was great because some of them didn't realize what is behind all of what they see, and just having those conversations and those explanations, but hearing their concerns. And it was just a really great conversation. And more conversations like that need to happen in our city for sure, so that people really feel like they are heard. But February, we had to cancel because COVID was starting to kind of come, and where I was supposed to go, they didn't want, they were getting a little bit worried. And then the pandemic hit, and then it was a full blown no-go for meeting like that. And I did continue throughout that, though, to have some Zoom conversations like that. One thing that I really wanted to do was get together with the pastors of our city. And even if they're just right outside of our city limits, a lot of our city residents might go to that church. And so I invited all pastors, whether they were in the city limits or not, and started having meetings with them. I need to do that again. I put that just because of time, and the schedules weren't working out. And it's something that I'm really wanting to get back to in the next couple weeks. Actually, I've already been planning one. But really, that's kind of the pulse of the community when I couldn't be with the community, was hearing concerns that they were hearing through their church bodies, because a lot of people will tell their pastor, or people talk in church, and that's where you hear what are the concerns of those communities. So at least I was able to have those Zoom conversations. I could talk to people on the phone. I did, meet with people one-on-one, maybe not in City Hall, maybe somewhere else. Now we're back to meetings more regularly and in person and gatherings. And so I can hear that. But another area that even when we couldn't meet in person was the All About Adrian Coalition, and those meetings still continued on Zoom, and I still attended and regularly participated in those meetings, and still do till this day. But that was great that at least a lot of these groups did have the capability of, Zoom and being able to still talk and have those conversations.
Yeah. There was a meeting, and I was able to attend the meeting where you met with the pastors and had conversations regarding race and relations. And I think that was a really good opportunity to really have that dialogue as well, because there are a lot of things going on and a lot of challenges when it comes to race relations and city government and the police department, and especially in this climate today. So it becomes a really big topic. It's something that you really can't just look past. But I think that engagement is really important. It's an important piece, especially with those individuals that are kind of representing the voice of the community as well. Yep. And so when it comes to your position as mayor, city hall, the community at large, businesses in downtown, what will diversity look like? What changes are being implemented to kind of celebrate diversity, create diversity, make diversity a real living thing? Whether it's diversity, equity, inclusion, what does that look like? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, one thing that when I became mayor, that the Human Relations Commission, I had already been attending their meetings, and I just saw what a great tool and resource for the city that I don't think at the time was being utilized at its full potential. And and one way that they weren't being utilized at their full potential was just that, the planning commission had a city commissioner on it. Obviously, the city commission has the mayor and all of the city commissioners on it. The DDA has the mayor on it. There were all these different groups that are, boards and commissions of the city of Adrian, but the Human Relation Commission didn't have that person. And so that was one thing that I really wanted that to happen. And it was voted for me to be that person. And I've felt very honored and extremely excited just about it being involved and included with the Human Relation Commission as one of their members, and just seeing what they are doing and trying to promote that equity and inclusion. And I really feel that that was a really big piece that was missing. One thing that they're very strong on is getting diversity and inclusion training for, city employees, for those, and even trauma training to, like, when somebody's dealing with somebody that's come through a traumatic situation, that would definitely be a police and fire department, area. But it can happen. It can be somebody that walks in, and I've actually seen it happen, so I know this. It can be somebody that walks in and talks to the lady behind the desk where they're paying their water bill to, and they're telling this just happened to me, this is what's going on. And that's where that training can become so important, so that, anybody dealing with the public can, can help them, can assist them, can be sensitive, can be equitable when it comes to working with the public. So that's one big area. I know, we need more minority owned businesses downtown. We're getting some. Do we want more? Do we need more? Definitely. And it's been said before that sometimes there's a lot of hoops people have to jump through when starting a business up, in the city, in the downtown area. And we're trying to streamline that, no matter, who that person is, but we're trying to streamline that process just to get more business. But we need to make a more concerted effort just to get more minority owned businesses. Like, we definitely need more. Unfortunately, one business that we had downtown that was minority owned, that person just passed away suddenly recently. So that was just heartbreaking, because right there we just lost a minority owned business that we had, just had. And we definitely need more. We need to find ways. I don't have the answers to that. I'm hoping we can, get those answers. And it's working with people like you, D'Angelo. It's working with, the NAACP. It's working with all of these different groups where maybe we can really, come up with some ideas and some plans and some thoughts on how to promote and how to get more minority owned businesses in our city, for sure. And make it just an easier process in general for anybody that is trying to open up a business, and make that process more streamlined. But, I will say City Hall still needs to be more diverse. I will probably always say that. I know anybody there will probably say that. Like, you don't see a lot of diversity, but I will tell you that I meet regularly with several of the departments. I just like to pop in, visit, see how they're doing, assist them. Sometimes they've needed help delivering something or doing something like that. And a couple of our departments that I just recently visited, we had some people retire, and we are hiring. There is definitely more diversity that we are hiring. And it was very exciting to see when I walked in. I walked into our Department of Public Works. And, I was so excited to see that we were a little more culturally diverse, and it wasn't all, and it wasn't all where everybody looked the same. And this is what we need to be, it needs to be a true representation of our city.
Yeah.
And I know that's something like Chief Emmerich really believes in it. We all believe in it. And he's really believes strongly in that when it comes to our police force as well. And I, you touched upon that when it comes to like the tensions that there have been, when it comes to public and the police. And the more diversity we can see in that police department, the better that those relationships will be, and the more mending and correction that can happen from our past mistakes.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yep, those are some of the conversations that I know that we tend to engage in community. It's just that representation piece, so that people do feel included, and that they can see themselves when they walk into certain buildings, arenas, and have to have certain conversations, and to know that that it's just not racial, but it's cultural, and to have people that understand that background, and understand where they're coming from when they're having these cultural conversations. So that piece becomes really important, and I'm pleased to know that well, and Mayor Heath, I know that you're fully aware of these needs with the community, and that you are working to push for these things to take place, that we do see this diversity, this sense of inclusion that's taking place through all different sectors in our community. And so I'm really glad to know that you're there, and that these things are really being pushed from your platform. And if we could just take a small kind of switch, we have seen in conversation, and it's presented to the City Commission regarding blight. A blight action plan was submitted, and I was able to sit and be a part of those conversations as well. And just curious as to, is the blight action plan something that's new to the city, or something that's just been more developed? What does this look like for residents that may be a little bit concerned about the push of this initiative?
Well, honestly, there has not been a change to what is considered blight. None of that has actually changed when it comes down to those ordinances of what is and what isn't blight. All of these different parameters have always been in place. It just hasn't always been followed through. And where we have really seen that to be evident is in rental properties. And part of that is there are rental inspections that happen every 3 years. However, when you had one code enforcer that was in charge of looking at all of, enforcing all of the code for the entire city and trying to do rental inspections when like a little over 1/2 of your entire city are rentals, it was virtually impossible. And he was drowning in all the amount of rental inspections and code enforcement. It was complaint based. So that was coming in and taking priority over the rental inspections, obviously, and things were getting missed. And that is why I think you are hearing about some of these deplorable conditions that some of these renters have had to put up with and live in, and that their landlords weren't being held accountable for, is just that it was just so backed up. And we recognize that within the City Commission, but this blight group that you and I were both a part of, that was definitely something that became very apparent. And it was encouraged to the City Commission to look at hiring another code enforcer so that we could have somebody that was doing those rental inspections and keeping a higher standard and getting our residents in safe rental buildings and getting those conditions better. And I'm happy to say that he is caught up almost and is making that, and he's getting it. Well, he's close. It's getting there. And that is all that new code enforcer does, is rental inspections. And so that has made a huge dent in that accountability. It is also, I will say, on the flip side of what you're seeing quite a few rental properties go up for sale right now.
Yeah,
It is because they're being held accountable. and
Yeah.
now they don't want to fix it, so they want to dump it. So that's what is happening right now. We are seeing that as well in some of those conditions, but we what was discussed right away, there was concern right away about, the couple on a fixed income, the elderly couple on a fixed income, or this family that, only makes so much money, and they're barely making their house payment, or, whatever it might be. And that we're going, and they were just finally able to buy a house, but they can't afford to fix it up, or, whatever those situations might be, or they just recently lost a job, or, there's a lot of things like that that happen, and where they're the actual homeowners. And that is the person we don't want to punish. Do we want to hold them to that blight standard? Yes, because, once you start, it's already been proven, once one house starts fixing up, it's contagious, and everybody will start taking better care of their places and wanting to fix it up. But we don't want to punish those people. We need to help those people. And that is why we brought in the piece of the community revitalization coordinator. Her name is Leslie Love. She lives on the east side of Adrian. She's been here for many, many years. She's very well versed with our citizens of Adrian. And she came into this position, and what she is doing is, one of the pieces of what she's doing is doing all the database work for like all of the code enforcement, because we've had repeaters, and so we're trying to stop that and see where those trends are and all of that. But when you have your two code enforcers doing as much code enforcement and rental inspections as they're doing, there's a lot of paperwork that goes with that. So she's assisting them in that area so that they can really be boots on the ground out there, doing what they're supposed to be doing, and with those rental inspections and the code enforcement. But the big piece of what she's going to be doing, and what she's doing, is putting those nonprofit groups and those community service groups and those individuals that are willing to help, putting that together. So if I come in and I'm on, I'm a little old lady on a fixed income, and I can't afford, and I just got a citation for peeling paint on my house, or, my porch falling off, or whatever it might be. She's going to, work with you and try to find these groups and get them together to get out there to help and assist that lady to get the porch fixed, or get it scraped and repainted, and help and assist alongside. So that person was crucial to this whole blight initiative. We really needed that person to connect those pieces and to do that. I will say, nothing's been formally done yet, but one reasoning for me taking a new job right as the election was happening, which was crazy at the time, but I really was very excited, because this job, I don't have to work summers in this new teaching job that I'm in, and it gives me a couple months off to fully vest into our community. And I would like to really be out there working alongside, and whether it's scraping somebody's house, or helping paint, or whatever it might be that they're doing. I really want to do a mayor initiative and be one of those resources that Leslie can come to, and I can get people to donate in-kind services, in-kind goods, whatever it might be, to help us to go out there and help those residents as well.
That's to even just have that as a feat that you're trying to accomplish. That's really impressive. And I know that you have these summer months off. That's gonna make you free. It's gonna allow you to really pour into community in a very different way. So just to have that open door, I mean, that's absolutely amazing that you'll have that freedom and that convenience to really pour into this role during those months, especially summer months, which I think is an opportunity to actually get more done, especially when it comes to community, because folks don't mind being outside.
Right.
This is the winter where folks maybe like me, and we are running as fast as we can from the cold and from the snow. So, yeah. So, and yeah, I'm looking forward to all the events that's going to take place once the snow comes on. And if folks like me, I hate to see the fall leave because I know what's coming next. So,
But I will say too, D'Angelo, for, I'm going into some of these rentals. I'm seeing it firsthand, when I'm out delivering food for the food pantry and, helping them carry these items into their apartments. And I see what some of them are dealing with, and what, there's help that could be given to them in the form of that. We really need to get these landlords accountable. We really do. We can't have people with wall temporary walls put up with ceiling tiles duct taped together, which I've actually seen recently. But it had a recent water leak, you could tell. But I just know that we really, more than anything, we really, really just need to make everybody accountable that is renting out to, our citizen. We just have a severe lack of housing when it comes to rental housing. And so when you don't have much supply, but a lot of demand, they don't feel like they have to fix it. So, the one thing that is on the forefront of everyone's minds in the city, and many investors in our city, and pretty much everybody's talking about it, is just the need for more housing.
Yeah.
We just really have that need for more housing, because the minute we get more housing is the minute that the supply gets larger and the demand goes down. And it's gonna, those landlords are not going to be able to charge that kind of rent, because somebody could go somewhere else for that. It's going to force that hand. But we're trying to help that as well when it comes to the Blight Initiative, and just better living conditions for everyone in our city, but also just pride in our city, when it comes to homeowners and landlord ownership, just pride and taking care of your property, and making our city, everybody feels happier when things look better. It's just true. I mean, there's nothing better. I mow my yard, I feel better because my yard looks better, because it might have gotten too tall, or whatever it is. And it really is contagious. I've seen that firsthand. I watched a house. I don't know what corner it was on, but it's on Locust, because I drive that way to work. And I watched a house slowly get fixed up this past summer and fall. And all of a sudden I see a house farther down Locust getting fixed up now, slowly but surely, and another house down Locust getting, so it is contagious. And it's so exciting. I love driving that street now, because I get to see all these houses, where they're, and I don't know what they're doing on the inside. These are just things I'm seeing on the outside, but it's great to see. And it's very exciting.
Yeah, it's about a better quality of life. And I believe that some of the things that I've seen in the Blight Action Plan, the initiative, is really pushing for that, is to create a better quality of life for residents throughout the community as a whole, and to hold accountable those who are in certain positions that are having renters living in less than desirable conditions, something that no one would want a family or friend to have to endure. And I think the food pantry, the delivery program, actually gives folks an opportunity to really have a very interesting look into these situations, because through that program, you're invited into people's homes, and you get to firsthand see what's taking place. And I did notice that there are a lot of properties that were going up for sale. And one of my thoughts were, I said, they must be really pushing this hard in certain areas, and certain people that don't want to be held accountable to those measures is kind of moving out the way. But that also creates an opportunity for individuals to take ownership that would be accountable and could create a living environment for residents. So yeah.
And one thing on top of that, now that we are doing, it hasn't been passed through a resolution yet, so I can't say it's gonna happen for sure, but it looks like it's going to. We just had a pre-meeting about it. is this upon sale point, this point of sale inspection, the point of sale inspection. Sorry, couldn't think of what it was called for a second. They and what that would do is safeguard, especially D'Angelo, that will safeguard the people that, do want to maybe can get the opportunity now for home ownership, or maybe it's just somebody else that's trying to buy a rental property. But a lot of times it is somebody that's wanting to come in. Now they can afford that, because in the past, they may not know that all of these citations are on that property, and then they buy it, and now they have, this literally happened to one of our own city commissioners, $20,000 of things that had to be done to that property, because to put it out of violation, to put it back into compliance and out of violation.
Wow.
So this point of sale inspection will bring to light to that person looking to buy, if there are, if the city finds anything, if there's anything else that needs to be rectified, or if there hasn't been an inspection. But, so even if it was like you were selling your house and I want to buy your house, it would happen just so that I'm safeguarded as the new homeowner, but also to hold those landlords, so that those landlords it's going to be a known thing. So either they're going to have to bring the price down if they're selling it, or, or there's going to have to be some concessions there between that owner, the new owner coming in and the seller. But at least they're aware. Like, that's the whole point, to make everyone aware of what needs to be done to that house to bring it into compliance. And they can work out however they're going to work it out between the buyer and the seller. But at least there's that awareness, because we know of many people that have been taken when it comes to that as well. And that was a fear when we started seeing all these properties starting to go up for sale. We don't want somebody else to walk into a situation not knowing what they're walking into, and to have that awareness. And this is to safeguard our residents as well. And that's why we're really looking at this, and it's going to be on one of the city commission meetings coming up.
Have you found any opposition to the point of sale?
Yes, we have. When the realtors heard about it a while back, there definitely were quite a few of them at a meeting that we were having, very concerned about that. But a couple of our commissioners have met with a group of realtors, and had those discussions. And we really it was really reiterated there that we are not trying to slow down the process of a sale, impede the process of a sale, nothing along that line. It's literally just to make sure that everybody knows what they're buying into, and that those conversations can be had, and once it was explained, from what those commissioners have said, there was buy-in from the realtors a little bit more. I guess there wasn't as much reluctance about it, but I'm sure there still will be. I am not going to look through rose-colored glasses and think that that's not still going to happen. I'm sure there will be some that are concerned about it, or concerned about this making the price go higher, or whatever it might be. But so yes, that was who we had the pushback from originally. But I know those conversations happened, and they seem to be more on board with it. I wouldn't say they're fully on board with it, but I think they're understanding it a little bit more. Maybe that's it. But I'm sure when it comes time for the vote, we will hear from some realtors, especially, but maybe citizens as well.
I appreciate that. Again, Mayor Heath, thank you for joining us today. You've heard it first here that the mayor's going to be having community conversations, town halls, that's coming soon. So you've heard it here on One Voice Lenawee. Again, Mayor Heath, thank you for joining us. This is Conversations with our Mayor Heath of Adrian, Michigan. Glad to have you with us. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule. And again, thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you very much. And you just gave me my catchphrase: community conversations and coffee. Bam. Once again, D'Angelo coming in clutch. Thanks.
Appreciate that. Whatever I can do to help.
All right. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for joining us.
All right.
And again, we thank all of our guests for coming and being a part of the show. We are grateful to have Mike Hooks with us, as well as Mayor Angela Heath with us, and just to share just what's going on in the community, how the work that they're doing impacts community, and what things we can do to also impact one another. So we are grateful for everyone that have come on. We thank you all for watching and being a part of the show. As always, I know the weather is getting better, but there are still some precautions we can take. We know that COVID is still real, so please wear your mask. And also, if you haven't been, consider the vaccinations. And if you need some other information and you just still got a few questions, we encourage you to refer back to some of our earlier shows. Maybe just the answers they provided, some of the guests then can address the questions that may still be lingering. And just to dress for the weather, dress appropriately, drive careful while you're out there on the road, and be considerate of one another. And right now, we're just, as always, we're looking to bring information to you and hope that you have enjoyed our show, and look for you to return and be with us as we continue to broadcast right here, YouTube Live, every second and fourth Monday at 6 p.m. So join us. Click that subscribe button, share with your friends, share with your families, and we look forward to having you with us next time. Again, this show is sponsored by United Way of Monroe and Lenawee County, and we thank you for joining us.